Podcasting for the masses, and I'm coming correct.
Yo, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Bullseye View. I am the host with the most, Keith Bulluck, and I got Nas Cook here with me, riding shotgun. What's going on, Nas?
What's good, man? Where'd you watch the games this past week? We had a lot of them, so.
A lot of them, a lot of excitement. Most of all, at the house.
Same.
You know what I mean? I went out, had a couple beers, smoked a cigar, but for the most part, I was at the crib, man, you know.
So we're going to get into it, talk about Indiana, but first, we've been meaning to do this. You know, I told you what HopeCore was, right?
HopeCore, yes.
So I know you said make sure to hit this next time we talk. So what's your HopeCore message for everybody in 2026, man, to get everybody jumping?
All right, I'm not sure if I got this right, but I'm going to give my best HopeCore message. It's 2026, January 2026. I know a lot of people had a lot of goals in 2025, and you tried your best to make them come alive. And if you didn't get it done, it's okay, because you have a whole nother year to do it. Look, there were things I wanted to accomplish last year that I didn't get done, but I put them on the calendar for this year. And golly Jesus, I'm going to get it done. Where there's a will, there's a way, and you can do it. Focus your mind, put all your energy into it, and you'll get it done. Good luck in 2026. HopeCore, something like that, right?
Okay, word. Well, Keith Bulluck takes on HopeCore in 2026.
That's off the top of the dome.
That was live. So we get into the Titans now, right? Mm-hmm. So the main thing is the head coach search.
Do they need a HopeCore? Oh, no.
So they got, as of January 12th, they got 7 guys. I'm going to read them off, okay, and see which ones you like, don't like, and whatnot. But the first one, Lou Anarumo, DC at the Colts. Steve Spagnuolo, DC at the Chiefs. Matt Nagy, OC at the Chiefs. Vance Joseph, Broncos defensive coordinator. Kevin Stefanski, we know who he is, former Browns head coach. Mike McCoy, the interim coach. And Jason Garrett, former Cowboys head coach. Princeton guy as well. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think the name that sticks out to me the most is Spagnuolo, just because he's been in the league the longest. But I think he's had the most success as a coordinator. So, you know, I think honestly with the Titans, I would like to see some type of combo, right? I mean, if you bring in an offensive-minded head coach, bring in a defensive-minded DC, vice versa. I just think that it'll have to be a head coach that has a plan already, that's coming in knowing what they're going to do and has kind of been in the situation. So none of those names really necessarily impressed me. I know Harbaugh is still out there.
Mike McDaniel, you called it too. I didn't think McDaniel was going to get fired, but
so I think he'll be a great OC, Mike McDaniels, because you see what your man is doing in New England. Josh McDaniels, you know what I mean? When he had an opportunity to head coach, he was decent, just like Mike McDaniels was decent. He didn't have a terrible outing as a head coach, but I think a lot of those guys I don't necessarily see as head coaches, but definitely leaders on their side of the ball, whether it be offense or defense.
What's your take on like Mike Borgonzi? Maybe he's interviewing, of course, Spagnuolo and Nagy. Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing if he goes with one of these Chiefs coordinators?
Look, Mike Borgonzi is confident in Nagy and Spagnuolo, let's get it. But, you know, those are guys that have definitely had their opportunities. And, you know, you'd have to go to the stats to check it out, but I don't remember them having too much success at head coaching positions.
Got you. And the other thing, too, with the Titans is figuring out who are they going to select with that top overall draft choice. So a lot of people want them to select a receiver, maybe Carnell Tate, you know, Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, but also you got some dogs at that 4 spot as well where Arvell Reese might fall to you, and Ruben Bain. Yeah, looking solid out of Miami, you know.
Yeah, Ruben Bain, we can get to see him play again this week. You know, in the national championship game. You know, you put something in my mind last week. I think if they can get 2 first-rounders for that one high first-round draft pick, trade back. I have a feeling that once all this stuff comes out, even though there's not going to be 3 quarterbacks that I feel have a first-round grade, 3 will probably go in the top 10.
That's how
that's
the stupidest shit ever. One of them always gets hyped up.
But however that goes, that's why I'm confident the Titans will be able to get what they want in the later part of the first round. But if they can get 2 first rounds for that one pick that they have, that's great, unless they have a lock, and that that number 4 has to be a lock.
They have to be an impact player, a game changer. But I'm looking at the class. It seems deep, not at quarterback. It's deep at receiver, but those defensive players, they got some dogs there, man. Like, I'm looking at the projections. Like, Caleb Downs is arguably one of the best prospects, and he's going at like 10, 11 because he's a safety. So imagine if the Titans trade back with maybe the Bengals or whatnot, they still can get a premium pick for future and for now. Like, I mean, it might be a no-brainer for them, you know? So we talked about the 7 guys they have already interviewed, but everybody wants to know about the Harbaugh sweepstakes. So what's your take on Harbaugh? Would he be at the top of your list, you know, for guys? I know you talked about, you know, Mike McDaniel, Brian Flores, but where does Harbaugh fall since he's available now?
I would say Harbaugh will be at the top of the list because he's the most proven, you know, recently. He's, you know, consistently competing for the AFC North, and that's a tough division. You know, I played against him when he was just first starting out with a rookie Joe Flacco and a great defense led by Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs. So that team obviously was run through, you know, the veterans. But what I do like about Harbaugh is he's always being able to adapt and adjust with the league as the league has changed, as the players have changed, as the philosophies have changed. He's always been able to draft well, get players in his building. That's what I like about him.
100%. And it's interesting, too. You know, you talk to Samari Rowe, you talk to Derek Mason, and like back in the day when you were playing as well, and then, of course, Eddie George and Steve McNair, like the Ravens and the Titans, they had a similar culture. And we keep talking about it. You know, whoever you ask, former Titans players, it's always about building that culture. So I'd be interested to see how Harbaugh, if he were to come into the, you know, the Titans organization, how he would build, you know, what would the identity be? Would it be on the defense, you know, or whatnot? But
I would hope that whatever it is, if Harbaugh came back, he would be able to bring King Henry back. I think that would be pretty cool to get King Henry back in here. I think the O-line is much better than they were when Derrick Henry left. So I think that, you know, Derrick Henry, the way he ran last year, could come in and have some success behind the offensive line that has been built up in the several years that he's left.
Definitely, and I feel like I'm going to spin back to that Titans draft pick. So I'm going to start talking about Ruben Bain now, you know, with guy? Miami. That's my guy. But really who my guy is Carson Beck. You love him. A lot of people don't like Beck, man. I think he's a solid college quarterback.
Yeah, 1,000%.
Like 100%. He won at Georgia. Now he's coming to Miami. He's leading them to a championship. Say what you want about him, but the guy wins, and he plays at the highest level at the most crucial moment. So basically, who do you have, you know, with Indiana and Miami, man? Who you rolling with?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going with the U. I got to go.
You rolling with U? Okay.
Yeah, I'm a former Big East guy. You know, that was one of our rivals. You know, we baptized those guys back in McNabb's last year. You know, they made a 30 for 30. It's on the 30 for 30. But no, I got a lot of respect for the University of, you know, Miami, obviously from the time when I played and up until even now. You know, you see how they get back to prominence last year. Cam Ward had them knocking on the door. I like what Cristobal has built because, okay, they knocked on the door last year. This year they kicked it in. So they kept that momentum going, as well as Indiana with Cignetti. You know, last year they were knocking on the door. This year they bust the door down, you know. Completely. So I'm going to go with the U, man. I just think it's going to be a great game. And to what you said about Carson Beck, you know, that's what I like about the transfer portal, things like that, right? Whereas, you know, Carson Beck knew that he wasn't going to be the starter at Georgia this year. He gets an opportunity to go somewhere else and start and play and lead their team, his team, you know, to the promised land once again. What I don't like about the transfer portal, as we said last week, is just all the kids that just jump in and, you know, I'm trying to get out of here because they didn't get the playing time they wanted and or you know, the situation just didn't work out. I think there needs to be something put in that. And, you know, here's an example of, you know, the transfer portal, how it can help or hinder. Your thoughts on it. You know, the kid Chambliss from Ole Miss. Okay. You know, he's seeking, I believe, a 6th year. And my thing is, why don't you just go to the league? What is your thought? Why players would, I think I know the answer, but I just want to hear you being someone, you know, fairly freshly removed from college football.
I feel like, you know, Chambliss is a situation where he came from a D2 school. He won the championship there, and then he gets into Ole Miss, and he wins right away. They get the couple playoff wins. But, I mean, it's kind of a hard situation for him. I feel like he doesn't see himself as a first-round draft pick, and he thinks that if he goes one more year, that he will get that first-round draft pick grade. So I think it's a money aspect. And now, too, you have to think about the NIL era. So he already has a deal set in place with Ole Miss if he comes back. So it's all a money and numbers game. And also he might be able to feel like he needs to develop a little more.
Do you think, that being said, do you think, you know, within the next couple years, NCAA and NFL may need to kind of sit down and have a talk, maybe to kind of treat college football more like a farm
as
system?
Like a little minor league team?
You know what I mean? I just think that it's treading such a fine line that it might be time to start doing something.
I think the college football landscape is definitely trending down that way because basically the transfer portal is free agency. So I feel like now with the amount of money that's involved, the amount of sponsorships, deals that these athletes have on their own as well, it's all becoming a big business, you know. But my thing is, when will it be some sort of, I remember you interviewed someone, they were talking about how if this is what it's going to be, we need to say if Auburn takes the quarterback from Ole Miss or whatever, they take my starting quarterback. If that happens, it might need to be a trade system where you take my quarterback, I get 2 scholarships involved. You know, so what do you think about that trade system?
Yeah, I mean, it needs to be something, you know, the jumping in and out of the portal. And, you know, like you say, it doesn't, it's not fair for the smaller schools that develop these guys and then they jump to the bigger schools. And like I said, you know, there are coaches that are in the college coaching ranks that I know that, you know, they welcome the challenge of that because their challenge is to get those kids developed and get them to the next better spot. But then also, you know, build a culture within their programs, even by losing some top players to kind of build up through your team. And it's still possible because I like the fact that, you know, obviously Indiana, they have a very old, their roster is older.
Yeah,
they ain't no five. Yeah, but there are no 5 stars. There are no, you know, I think I was 22 when I left college. So that's someone that's been there for 4 years and redshirted. You know what I mean? So I don't feel like it was guys ducking smoke. I feel like it was Indiana is made up of a bunch of guys who went to a particular college to ball out, and they balled out. And maybe a lesser D1, and then, you know, Signetti took over and went and sought these guys out and knew that they were ballers and can ball at this level. And you hear it in Mendoza's speeches, like, you know, there are a bunch of misfits that have all come together for the same common goal.
Definitely, and I feel like the head coach sets the tone now. You got to think they're basically the CEOs of these teams now. You know, they're the ones recruiting. They're the ones sending out messages. In my head, every time that Signetti or Lanning or whoever is in front of the camera, they're trying to recruit guys. So they're already thinking about what they're saying. Signetti's like, oh, I'm about to grab a beer after this. He's trying to get guys to come play for him.
Yeah,
because I know he's trying to build something within Indiana. He's not leaving there. He's trying to get a statue as well.
And the more down to earth you are and the more your messages hit home. And honestly, you know, we got to also recruit the parents too.
That too.
You know, and a lot of parents these days, they don't necessarily know about the NIL. They don't know about transfer portal. They don't know about agents. And that's where it gets tricky. So, you know, starting some classes might be in the future for me for collegiate athletes and their parents.
Definitely. And what I want to spin it back to Miami. So Miami hasn't been in the championship since before I was born in 2001. So I'm getting the firsthand experience of what Miami is looking like, what the U look like. Miami's been terrible so far, but what I can say is Michael Irving is insane, man. He's putting belt to he puts an Ohio State like sweater on the cooler and is putting belt to it. But it got me thinking, you know, we talked about a little bit about school pride. Yeah. You know, and that's one thing that I can say I feel like the transfer portal is hurting. Is like this school pride of, you know, Irvin, you, even including myself, we spent 4 or 5 years at these different universities, and now college students are going from place to place, you know. So I guess Do you think kind of school pride will be basically dead in this next generation of collegiate athletes?
No, I don't think so. School pride is being bought now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the way I understand it, if I put $50,000 towards an NIL for one of these players, I don't get anything for it. I don't get any return, no ROI, no return on my investment. You're just, putting money in to be a part of the club. So, if your team is playing for the national championship and you got some money invested, you just paid for a good time. You know what I mean? So, that's always gonna be a part of it, and people will find some type of way to take pride in capitalization.
Right. And what's your take, man? Do you think Indiana is here to stay? Do you think they're gonna be the new Bama? Because I got my reasons why I think they do.
I think they will, because look, anytime you get billionaires stepping up, Mark Cuban, he's involved.
You took the words right out of my mouth.
He's involved with it, and look, at the end of the day, like I say, it's turning into big business, and it's a way it's like the Billionaires Boys Club. You know what I mean? It's a way, if you can't buy a Major League National Football League team or NBA team, you can invest in your alma mater and probably get certain perks because you give them $100,000 a year towards NIL.
Definitely. And now let's talk about like the SEC. Everybody's saying, where is the SEC at? They don't have any teams now. But in my head, I'm like, the ACC, the Big Ten, these schools have major alumni, alumni.
They do.
At the end of the day. So what do you think about, the SEC? Is that conference fading, or do you think
it's not fading after 1 year? They just might need to revamp, you know what I mean? Because they see that these other teams and other conferences, and they're not the only people with money, you know what I mean? Now the playing field is equal for whatever teams want to put some money in a hat and divide it up amongst their teams. So I don't think the SEC is fading. That's not fair to say after 1 year. I just know that these other conferences are putting teams in that can represent and compete just as well up there with the SEC, and a lot of the top teams that we see and have come to know of over the last 5 to 10 years.
We also seen here in Nashville, college basketball. Vanderbilt is what are they, 16-0? They're ranked 11, 10 seed.
Hey, they heating up. And, I know Vandy is doing well, obviously minus the record, but I know they're a good team because when I hear my boy Ron Slay on the radio giving Vandy props, I know I got to get Slay up in here to give us the NCAA college basketball rundown. But, yeah, shout out to Vandy down the street. I think I'm going to have to maybe adopt Vandy as my SEC team, man. You know what I mean? Man, I've been here long enough. And, obviously Vandy, of the Vandy boys from baseball. But it's dope to see how, they're starting to show prominence in football as well as basketball. When I first got here, Vandy was a notable top 25 basketball team for sure.
That's when they had like Jenkins, right?
And Freegee, and you know what I mean? And, shout out to Candace Storley, the Vandy AD, who's put a lot of time. Yeah, put a lot of time and effort into making them a powerhouse. So that's huge right there, too.
And I got to give credit to the point guard at Vandy, Tyler Tanner. He's out of Brentwood Academy, 615 native. So they look legit, man. I'm going to have to check them out. I am interested to see what Ron Slay has to say about it, though.
Slay dog, let's go.
We had a lot of great games, this past week. But I got to start it off with my guys. The Bears, baby, come on. Hey, say what you want. He painted his nails. Who cares? 25 points in the fourth quarter. The Cardiac Bears look legit. So I got to start it off, man. Did you see that 4th and 8 play?
I did. The Bears were down early, but I like the resiliency.
Yeah.
I got to say, Caleb Williams is very poised. He still plays like a second-year guy. He's going to take some chances. One of those interceptions wasn't on him. The wide receiver should have been running a dig. It looked like a high-low concept, and the wide receiver kept streaking down the sidelines. And I also like the fact that, he gets on his guys when they're not playing well. Right. Most second-year guys might pass, but it's good when you see the quarterback taking charge. And their defense, they make plays. So, whether the Bears won or Green Bay shit on the money. Either way, they got it done. And I didn't think anything of the handshake because Matt LaFleur did Johnson like that just a few weeks ago.
Exactly. Now everybody's trying to read into that. That means
it's subjective, right?
I kind of liked it. It gives a little identity and edge to it, though. It brings back the real NFL hate,
man.
the real rivalry.
You don't got to be buddy with everybody. There was really no teams that we were friendly with. You know, I didn't play in the era where we're exchanging jerseys. If you kick my ass, I'll see you next time. I'm not trying to exchange jerseys. I'm not trying to shake your hand. I wasn't with none of that, man. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate how it was handled.
Okay, word. And then what about...
Wait.
What? What's up?
Bang bang Niners game.
I was about to give the floor to you. So we see the Niners beat the defending Super Bowl champs.
Bang bang Niners.
So let me ask you this: was it more of the Niners or was it more of the Eagles shooting themselves in the foot?
I just think the Eagles, they play too conservative, man. You know what I'm saying? Like if Saquon isn't like getting off, you got Smith. You got A.J. Brown, who didn't have his best game. You got a lot of weapons, and it's just too methodical. They methodically move down the field where they can have like the big play and get them up out of there. I think that they obviously the 49ers defense was on point that kept them in the game and gave them enough time to come back and win. You know, they won on a trick play.
Yeah.
So, you know, it was what it was. Obviously, they're depleted. You know, they got another person hurt. Kittle got hurt. You know what I mean? And they're still in the divisional round of the playoffs. So, bang, bang, Niners game.
Yeah, I got to give you respect, man. The coaches doing their thing with that.
Yeah,
because they got Warner down, Kittle. A lot of guys are hurt. Their star guys are hurt. So,
and another coach I got to give props to. Shout out to Mike Vrabel and his team because obviously he has those guys going. He's from that cloth, right? So he knows the culture, the identity. He knows how they should be playing. New England's always played good defense. They've always played multiple defensive packages. They've always used multiple players, offense, defense, in an array of different ways. So Vrabel has definitely brought the New England Patriots style of football back to New England. And Vrabel was playing a similar style here. Obviously, he had Derrick Henry. He had the running game. He could do more ground-to-pound, smash-mouth football. But that's our era of football. That's my era of football, the late 90s, 2000s. That's just, you know, the style that worked. And it's cool to see that style being used again and being beneficial out there in New England.
Definitely.
Take some notes.
And I got to say, too, you know, I was watching, you know, the broadcast of the Patriots and Chargers, and I remembered something you said about the walls, you know, within the Titans, like the facilities, they look like Target, you know, and then once they were going through the facilities of the Patriots, of course, I know there's a story franchise, Tom Brady, 6 Super Bowl rings and all that, but it's there in the stadium.
Yeah.
It's all there for the fans, the players, everybody to see, you know.
It means a lot.
It's not like the Titans, we don't have a Super Bowl, but you have history.
Right, and it even comes down to like moments, right? You know, when Derrick Henry ran for like
that
200 yards.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? And when he got his 2,000, or when Chris Johnson got his 2,000.
The Music City Miracle, you got LeBron James and Kevin Hart on the
Music City
the FanDuel
Miracle
commercial.
You know,
exactly.
Steve McNair's MVP. Like there are moments within each organization where they have their, you know, this is an organizational moment. This is a historic moment, whether it be Super Bowl victory or what have you. I just know that, you know, a lot of guys probably in that locker room couldn't tell you 2 or 3 historic moments that their organization that they play for have had.
So the big 3 isn't there in the AFC. I'm talking about Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Patrick Mahomes. So there's a lot of young guys at the quarterback position in the playoffs. So I got a question to ask you. Which loss hurt more for one's career? Trevor Lawrence's loss or Justin Herbert? Which one do you think hurts more?
I would say Justin Herbert because they keep putting Justin Herbert up there in one of the top 5 top tier quarterbacks in the NFL, and he's 0-3 in the playoffs. Like we were just saying, New England had a great defensive plan for him. He couldn't really keep the pocket clean. They had obviously offensive line troubles. But for me, I look at it as this is Josh Allen's for the taking. A lot of people say, oh, his legacy's tarnished. Josh Allen's legacy's tarnished if he doesn't win. I don't say that. I don't feel like your legacy is decided or concluded until your career is over. But I do say this would be the easiest path to the playoffs or to the Super Bowl for Josh Allen, not having to face, Burrow, Mahomes, or Lamar Jackson. So, no, is this legacy defining for Allen? For Allen? No. Is it legacy defining for Herbert or Lawrence? No. But since they are younger quarterbacks, especially Justin Herbert, they put him up there, so he's gonna have to take, the verbal licks as they come.
I know I touched on, the playoff mindset. And it seems even, these recent games that the coaches are taking more of an aggressive stance on it. They're going for it on fourth down way more than they used to, probably when you were playing. So what's your take on these coaches, putting it all on the line, going for it on these fourth downs, one, and then two, did you see it as kind of a disrespectful thing where teams would go for it on fourth down, on your defense?
Yeah, definitely it was disrespectful, I would think, especially in like, certain situations. If it made sense, then okay, they're trying to make a play. But a lot of times for you guys to think that you can get it on fourth down, it's like, fuck is you thinking? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was just my mentality. But nowadays, I attributed these coaches played Madden growing up, bro. Everybody was going for it on fourth down. What I don't understand is in the first quarter, when you're inside the red zone and it's 4th and 1, why you go for it instead of taking the points early, especially in a 0-0 game. I used to look at it like, it's kind of like a flex, right? If your offense is more powerful, it can overpower this defense, then you make it happen. But if you just got some mediocre-ass offense and you're just a coach that likes to go for it on fourth down, doesn't really make sense. And then you are in the fourth quarter and you end up losing by 2, that's 3 points that you forfeited earlier in the game. And I feel like we've seen that throughout these playoffs and late in the season, but hasn't made for much success these playoffs yet.
All right, so Gen Z, Gen X this week. Our homework was to pick our top 3 artists who are we signing to a record label. So you want to go first or I go first?
You could go first.
So first, it goes without saying, Kanye. I got to go with Nas. Okay. I'm going to go with Nas. He's the lyricist, so I feel like he's OG. So then I'm going to go with Eminem next. I feel like he gets a broader audience. You know what that means. I think he's got, I just checked on Spotify, 72 million monthly listeners.
Damn.
So to this day, he still holds up. So across time, from my generation to your generation, probably to my grandma's generation, Eminem holds up. So I'm rolling with Eminem. Then you got the shock factor. If I need him to create a TikTok or something, he's going to go viral. So I got Eminem. And then lastly, I told y'all last week who was going to be the engineer, the conductor of it all. It's Kanye West.
That's strong.
It's Kanye West. And I'm not going to even, talk about him. His work speaks for itself. I don't care what he does off besides music.
So do I get to have a producer?
You can bend the rules if you need be.
I think I do. I think since it's my show, I think I will. So look. Okay. For my producer, I'm gonna keep it young and wavy from the West Coast. I'm going with my boy Hit Boy.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? He's done a lot of productions from Jay-Z and Kanye all the way up to right now working
with Nas as well.
His last few projects. So I'm going to go. That's my producer. And
okay.
Then you know what? I'm going to bring in Hove. I'm going to bring in Jay-Z because Hit Boy works well with Jay-Z. I'm going to go lyricist. I'm going to go lyricist. And I'm going to go with... I don't do it right. Al-Qaeda Jada. I'm going to go with Jadakiss.
Ah, okay.
Go with Jadakiss.
I like that. That's solid.
With Jadakiss.
That's solid.
And then for my last
Hold on, that was like 3, right?
Yeah, but you said Hit Boy could be the producer.
Okay, the producer. All right, go ahead.
So for my last one, Lauryn Hill. I'm going to go Lauryn Hill, man. I got to get something from the ladies, man.
No, that's solid. I wasn't even thinking of that angle.
I got to get something from the ladies. I feel like you might sell more albums, but we would have a better concert.
That's fair.
We might have to go on tour to get our bread, but album sales is probably where you'll win.
All right, I like that. Did you see where Lauryn Hill had like the Apple Music released like the top 25 albums all time? They ranked her number 1. I don't know what the album is, but you know what I'm talking about.
The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. Oh my God.
I know what the album cover looks like. I just didn't know what the.
Do you have the album?
I don't have the album.
You should just download it.
I'm listening to it. Yeah,
it.
it's downloaded on Spotify. I just didn't remember what the name was. Come on.
Gen X versus Gen Z. Never lets us down.
Podcasting for the masses, and I'm coming correct.